welcome to another episode at Life at LI.Fi. Today we are joined by Slava, the the developer relations lead or lead developer relations. I don't know how to pronounce it, but welcome Slava and thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So, can you tell us a bit about first how to pronounce your title? Second, what is it that drove you to this specific domain?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just DevRel, right? I don't really like the titles, but essentially, yeah, what I do is I'm responsible for like developer experience at LI.Fi. So anything that developer touches, and we can kind of go onto it a little bit later down in this conversation. And the way that I got into this domain essentially is I originally started working as a kind of a product manager. Right, that's by trade. I'm a product manager. I started going for software engineer, then I kind of stumbled onto the product management career. Really like that, where I get to be technical enough, lead that product development, and being able to contribute. Right, and then see those products grow. And then as I was doing that, I was always working on like developer focused products, and that's when I've ultimately discovered like developer relations, developer experience role, and I really fell in love with it, being technical enough where I get to do a lot more technical stuff than a product manager, but I still get to kind of take on some of those products that are directly related to developer experience, right? You're working on some SDKs, you're also improving that developer experience in more than one way, and that's what kind of captivated me of getting into it.
Yep. So thinking back, so developer relations is a broad field. So like you have to think about developer experience, you have to think about what messaging to put out to attract those developers. So it has bit of content, it has got bit of marketing. You need to be a developer to understand what you are proposing or what you are basically sharing to other developers. So being a marketer, the best thing about my job is that I get to try out new tech as it comes and I get to understand it. So regardless of whether I like it or not, it's the best thing because I'm always in the loop of learning and understanding the new tech, the new updates that are coming along, and then thinking of ways how I can pitch it in a way that it's amazing. It's the solution that you would ever need. So that is something very interesting for me of my job. So what do you think is the hardest part of your job? Like hardest thing to do as a DevRel, and what is the easiest thing to do as a DevRel?
Yeah, yeah. As in just in regards to a regular job, I think the best part of it is you are showcasing the best parts of the product that you are essentially advocating for, right? And the big part of the job is advocating. And the beauty of it is you're not essentially a salesman, right? You're not trying to sell. You're just advocating for the product. You're just showcasing it, but you don't have that pressure of just selling those developers to use it necessarily, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think that that's definitely the beauty of it. And it's also you're not advocating just for your own product, you're also just educating developers in general. And then eventually they're going to come and use your product, right? Along with all the other developer tools that they're using, right? It's that kind of full stack.
Yep. Yep. I wanted to know, like DevRels get a lot of heat in the crypto ecosystem. Like you might know, I think you might know, but let's just say you if you don't know, DevRels get a lot of heat. Like a few DevRels I know, they get a lot of criticism, I would say, for being a DevRel. And the beauty of crypto is like no one knows why you are shitting on someone, but then everyone joins on shitting on that some specific someone. So why do you think that DevRels get so much heat? And what sets a good DevRel apart and what makes a bad DevRel?
Yeah. There's been a little bit of a wave, right? Of everyone has opinions on DevRels. The reason being, right, is DevRel sometimes perceived as having low value because there is no clear metrics of what DevRel is and what are the kind of the success metrics of DevRel, right? And every org is going to be different into what DevRel is doing and their responsibility. For some, it's going to be very like marketing heavy role, right? And someone who doesn't necessarily value marketing at their company, they're going to say, "Hey, all I see is DevRel's doing marketing. So why do we have those DevRels?" But they don't understand the perceived value of it, right? Or other orgs, right? The DevRel is going to be working on the actual core, developer products, so like SDK actually coding it. So you're part of that engineering team, and you're actively pushing out these products. So it's very different, right? And that's why that the opinions vary greatly depending on what you do as a DevRel, because it's such just a broad subject, and there's so many different kind of areas and rabbit holes to go down of what you can do as a DevRel. And because everyone has the opinions of what DevRel should be, if you're not that, then they think, okay, what are these DevRels doing, right? Which should not be the case, because everyone is going to be structured differently. I think it's very similar to in the regular tech space. Product managers used to get the same hate, and I still think they do to this day. Of okay, if the product manager is not technical enough, then why are they? What are they doing, right? Or are they just a project manager? It's very very similar conversation with the DevRels now, and then they got very very popular in Web3 because all of the projects over the past few years have been mainly developer focused, right? While they saying infrastructure and things like that, and interrupt and everything works with each other, right? Because you have these developer products. We haven't seen a huge increase of the consumer apps yet. So that's why we have that DevRel role, for example, right? Is because you need to really focus on developer as your customer. In the regular traditional sense, that person who would be focusing on the users, usually product manager. In this case, it's going to be DevRel, right? You need to be customer obsessed, and in this case, those customers are developers.
So if you had to draw analogies between being a product manager and being a DevRel, so what are the few things that helped you being a good, better DevRel because of your product manager experience?
Yeah, the number one is really the user obsession. Is because as a product manager, you always think about users first, and you're really thinking about what are we trying to solve, right? Or how can we make that user experience better and things like that. And that way of thinking really helped me and is helping me to this day of being a DevRel, right? Is really, really be developer focused and think about it from the developer standpoint. If I was the guy that's coding and using the product, how would I feel about using it, right? What can I make better? And really put yourself in those shoes. I think that's a really good way to think about it.
Makes sense. So as far as I know, like I have very, very less knowledge of the field, but there are a lot of agents, there are a lot of AI coming in play, especially crypto XAI or DeFi AI. I'm not talking about any specific bags, but I'm talking about the entire tools, the array of tools that that have been launched to help developers. I would say code faster, be more efficient. So how does that play out while creating a developer experience?
Yeah, I think that's a huge help, right? And a lot of people are saying that it's coming for our jobs, right? I've thought about it a lot because that's essentially can solve a lot of a lot of those things that we do as DevRels, right? Of just when users come in and ask questions, eventually AI is going to be able to answer a good majority of those questions, right? But the way that I see it is it's actually going to help us in the long term to really, really expedite and make that developer experience better, because then you can use all these AI tools to your advantage, right? To make the job even easier and your output like 10 times better. We have all these like AI chatbots essentially, right? And AI agents that are coming through. And the big thing is integrating all those tools into your documentation, into whatever you're doing, right? Is make it more interactive, where you can build a lot of those tools into your website where developers go and they can interact rather than it being like a static documentation with just abstract examples. You can make it a lot more like a playground, right? Where developers come in, they can ask those questions. They also have a lot better examples based on what they're doing, and so on and so forth. So those tools are really coming in handy. That are coming out over the past like couple of years.
So, like you mentioned, like it helps you in the long term. But what about the short term? Like, what about the entire FUD behind, like, oh, AI is coming, now you're jobless. Like, it's extreme, but like, what do you think about the short term?
Short term, it absolutely is helping. It's definitely a net positive, right? Is I'm using a lot of the AI tools on day to day, right? Like integrating that as kind of like AI chatbot into documentation. If you train it very well, you give it enough information to where it can answer a lot of those questions. It works way better than a regular search bar on the website, right? Because it actually is able to scrape your whole website a lot better and find that information a lot better because you don't have to have exact like word for word match to find what you're looking for.
Yep, yep, makes sense. I also feel like AI is efficient. AI helps the people who are good at articulation, be it any domain. So like if you know what you want, AI can help you. But if you are vague enough, just vague, then AI won't help you. Like it is a lot more work than just Googling it out. So I think we are not there yet where AI can get you. But in terms of learning, I also feel like there needs to be some sort of proper data that the AI is trained on. Because, for example, like I was reading a few things yesterday and I tried to summarize them with AI. And I think two of the points that I read from the summary were just made up. So I'm pretty sure like there needs to be some sort of middle role where developers can identify like what's true and what's not true, even while learning and even while coding. Because sometimes if AI is trained on a code base that has specific bug that has not been yet identified, so anytime the AI writes that code for you, it will always have that bug. So it's a good practice to have some human touch and use your brain while actually doing a task.
Exactly, and that's for now, right? But eventually, I think we're gonna get advanced enough to where it's gonna get a lot better. But of course, we're in still in very very early days.
Yep. Something I feel like nostalgic, even like I have been in this industry for 3 years, but every time something comes up, everyone says like we are still early, and I still believe that because as an industry we have not even covered, I think, 20 years properly, and still there is a lot of growth. So I don't know if we are earlier or we are moving too fast. What do you think about that?
Well, it's both, right? We're moving very, very fast. Like, look at how far we've come over the past like 2, 3 years, and then look at how far we've come like 5, 7 years before that, right? I think the growth is exponential, and that's the same thing in the like tech in general and the whole innovation space, right? Is we innovate at such a faster pace the more time progresses. But then we are also very early on that exponential curve. I feel like.
Yep, yep. So after this call, I'll be sure to ask what your big bets are. But just to wrap this up, I just wanted to ask, like, what is that one tip you would give to an upcoming PM or a DevRel in crypto space? Someone like me who wants to, let's just say, someone like me who wants to break into the DevRel scene in crypto.
Yeah, the biggest one is the beauty of crypto is it's open across borders, right? Where your location doesn't matter, and that's the beauty of it. And like your education might not matter as much, right? What really matters is how much you know. And the way that you show that is everyone says it, but it's true, is open source contributions, right? When you have like a lot of bounties, right? I know lately there's been a lot of bounties for DevRels, for example, right? Showcase or just go on someone's documentation and like offer to make a PR, make some improvements, or write some articles of how-to articles, right? And that shows the potential employers that what you're willing to do, right? And then just the quality of your work, that's part of your portfolio, right? As long as you can have that and you can showcase that and really build that Twitter following, I think that really, really matters because that's where you get recognized. That's where you can see your true personality through that social media. After you build that, push out the articles, and then either someone's going to reach out or you start reaching out yourself through Twitter, right? Those organic connections, and then just showcase what you can do. And that's
Yep.
that's the best way to get into it, and that's how I got into it.
Awesome. Slava, thanks, man. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it a lot. I really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Yash.
Yeah.